He thought money could hide every sin. A billionaire walks into a 5-star hotel with his mistress, confident, untouchable, living a life built on lies. Crystal lights shine, soft music plays, and no one dares question him. But then, fate makes its move. A waitress approaches his table, and his entire world stops. The woman serving him is not a stranger. She is the wife he abandoned. No screaming, no scene, just a silent moment that cuts deeper than betrayal itself. In that instant, power means nothing, wealth feels empty, and the past he tried to erase stands right in front of him, holding a tray. What happens next will change all their lives forever. The chandelier-lit lobby of the 5-star hotel glowed like a palace built on secrets, and as the billionaire stepped inside with another woman on his arm, he believed no truth could ever reach him. Here, power had taught him that money could silence guilt, erase mistakes, and bury the past under polished marble floors. But that night, fate waited in a simple uniform, holding a serving tray, ready to shatter everything he thought he controlled. Before the story goes deeper, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of truth to change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. He had built his empire from ruthless ambition, turning small risks into towering profits. And along the way, he convinced himself that love was a luxury he no longer needed to respect. His marriage had once been his anchor, but success slowly replaced affection with arrogance. Boardrooms replaced dinner tables, private jets replaced family holidays, and excuses replaced honesty. When the distance between him and his wife became unbearable instead of facing it, he filled the silence with someone new, someone impressed by his wealth and blind to his flaws. Taking his mistress to the most exclusive hotel in the city felt like a celebration of his untouchable life, proof that he had escaped the ordinary rules that bound other men. The hotel itself was a monument to indulgence. Soft music drifted through the air, expensive perfume mixed with polished wood, and every staff member moved with trained elegance. He walked confidently, barely noticing the employees who bowed their heads in respect. To him, they were part of the background, necessary but invisible. He had no reason to look closely, no reason to expect that the past he had abandoned would be standing only a few steps away. His wife's journey to that very moment had been painfully different. When he stopped coming home, stopped answering calls, and stopped caring enough to lie convincingly, she had felt her world collapse quietly. There were no dramatic confrontations, no shouting matches worthy of a movie scene. Instead, there were long nights alone, unpaid bills she never used to worry about, and the crushing realization that love could disappear without warning. When he cut her off financially under the excuse of restructuring assets, she was forced to survive on her own for the first time in years. Pride kept her from begging. She sold what little jewelry she had left, moved into a small rented room, and took whatever work she could find. The 5-star hotel job came not from luck, but desperation. She had walked in with trembling hands, hiding her past behind humility, and accepted the waitress uniform as a symbol of survival, not shame. Every shift reminded her of what she had lost, but also of what she was becoming. Resilient, observant, and painfully aware of the value of dignity. On that night, she adjusted her apron and prepared to serve a private dining area reserved for elite guests. She did not know who would be seated there, only that the tips were better and the expectations higher. As she entered the room carrying water glasses, her heart nearly stopped. Across the room stood the man who had once promised to protect her forever. He looked polished, confident, and disturbingly happy, his arm resting casually around another woman's waist. For a split second, she considered turning back, hiding, sparing herself the humiliation. But life had already stripped her of illusions, and she chose to walk forward. He did not recognize her at first. His attention was fixed on appearances, on playing the role of a powerful man entertaining a beautiful companion. When the waitress approached the table and placed the glasses down with steady hands, something shifted in the air. Her familiar presence, the quiet strength in her posture, unsettled him. He looked up, and the world he had carefully constructed cracked open. The face he saw was not angry or desperate, but calm, marked by endurance and quiet sorrow. Shock froze him, and for the first time in years he felt genuinely exposed. The mistress sensed the tension immediately, confusion flickering across her face as she followed his gaze. The billionaire struggled to breathe normally, his confidence draining away under the weight of reality. This was not a confrontation he could buy his way out of. His wife's eyes held no accusation, only truth. She served the table professionally, without hesitation, without revenge. That restraint hurt more than any outburst could have. As the evening continued, he barely touched his food. Memories flooded him, her laughter in simpler times, her support during his early failures, the sacrifices she made quietly so he could chase success. He realized how easily he had discarded a love that asked for nothing more than presence and respect. Watching her move gracefully between tables, working with dignity despite everything he had taken from her, forced him to confront his own emptiness. For her, each step across the dining room was a battle between pain and pride. She refused to let him see her break. She reminded herself that her worth was no longer defined by his choices. Serving him was not humiliation, it was proof of her survival. Yet, beneath her composed exterior, emotions surged. She felt grief for the life she lost, anger at the betrayal, and an unexpected sense of closure. Seeing him powerless, stripped of control, gave her a strange peace. By the end of the meal, the mistress sensed that she did not belong in this story. The silence between them was heavy, filled with unspoken history. She excused herself, leaving the billionaire alone with his thoughts. The man who once ruled boardrooms now sat defeated, realizing that success had cost him the one person who loved him without conditions. When the bill arrived, he noticed her hand place it gently on the table. Their eyes met once more. In that moment, he understood that apologies were meaningless without action. He wanted to explain, to beg, to undo years of neglect, but he knew words would fall short. She walked away before he could gather the courage to speak, leaving him with a truth he could no longer ignore. That night marked the beginning of change. He left the hotel alone, his mistress gone, his ego shattered. For the first time, he questioned the empire he built and the price he paid for it. Days later, he returned, not as a guest, but as a man seeking redemption. He watched from a distance as his wife worked, noticing the strength in her independence. Instead of demanding forgiveness, he began by restoring what he had unjustly taken, ensuring she never had to struggle again, not as a bribe, but as responsibility. She did not forgive him easily. Healing was slow, built on consistent effort rather than grand gestures. He attended counseling, stepped back from his relentless pursuit of power, and learned to listen without defending himself. He discovered humility in waiting, patience in uncertainty, and respect in acknowledging her boundaries. For the first time, he allowed himself to be vulnerable, understanding that love required presence, not possession. As months passed, she gradually saw a change not in his promises, but in his behavior. He supported her choices, encouraged her independence, and accepted the possibility that she might never return to him. That acceptance became the foundation of trust. Whether or not their marriage could be rebuilt remained uncertain, but both had grown into stronger individuals through pain. The story does not end with a perfect reunion or a fairy tale ending. It ends with truth, accountability, and the understanding that love is not measured by wealth, but by respect and consistency. The billionaire learned that success without integrity is empty, and the waitress discovered that dignity can survive even the deepest betrayal. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of the power of resilience, forgiveness, or self-worth, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe for more stories that inspire the soul. Before the ending, we have one special request for you. Comment below what you believe matters more in life, success or loyalty. Your words may inspire someone reading silently. Because sometimes the greatest fall is not losing money or status, but losing the person who loved you when you had nothing. And sometimes the greatest strength is standing tall in a simple uniform, knowing your value was never tied to someone else's wealth.